Hey, I'm Anthony Romano, and I'm going to tell you in this video about ketogenic egg fasts. So basically, this is a span of days where people only consume eggs and maybe some other fats in there. And this is supposed to help people break through a fat loss plateau or get fat adapted on keto. I'm not a particular fan of egg fasts, so I'm going to tell you some tips in this video on when to actually consider using them and how to improve upon using them and what purposes they actually serve. And also, thanks to my mom for this video idea. Thanks, Mom. Okay, let's get into the video. Okay, so a lot of people seem to be using these egg fasts for extra fat loss, and they don't really explain why. I'm going to explain why for you in this video. The basic rules of an egg fast are you only consume eggs, you start off with a minimum amount like 5 or 6, and then basically you just keep eating them every hour that you're hungry. You know, it could be boiled, could be whatever form you like them in. And this is basically something you'll do for a period of days in order to get more fat loss or past a plateau. Some people use variants where they will consume some extra fat, like some butter, MCT oil. Maybe they'll allow some cheese or some other food of that nature. But most of them are simply eggs and maybe some extra fat sources. Now, why are people using this? There are two main reasons. The first one is that, well, this is the one that nobody talks about. The reason why is because it basically creates uniformity in the foods you're eating. Essentially, you're eating foods with the exact same macros every single day, and you're isolating the food that can sustain you, like eggs. And you're basically picking that food and saying you're going to eat an incremental amount of them until you reach a certain point where your calories are adequate yet still in a deficit. So I always say that there are two sides to the fat loss coin. There's the hormonal side, which is basically focusing on the hormonal effects of every individual food that you're eating, and there's the quantitative side. There's the total energy, total calorie oriented approach. These are two sides of the same coin. So a lot of people, when they're doing a keto diet, they're simply isolating every food they're eating and making sure it has the least fat storing properties to it, the lowest insulin foods. And they're not consuming any carbs, so they're not getting a large amount of insulin. Now, the other side of the approach is if you eat your carbs, you're going to want to take mostly a look at the quantity. You're going to have to contain your total food intake, and it doesn't really matter how much every individual food is going to spike certain hormones. See the dichotomy here? So the way that people use egg fasts basically allows them to make sure they're in ketosis, because first of all, the other reason people use this is because it's simply a way to ensure very simply that somebody will be in a keto state. Most people will take little slip-ups, or they'll have foods with certain extra sugar, added keto kryptonite in them, and one simple way to make sure somebody is in a keto state is to simply tell them, look, just eat eggs. Just don't eat eggs until you're full. So when we're looking at this sort of quantitative threshold, people are basically using egg fasts to incrementally ensure that they're eating whenever they're hungry, and they're eating macros that are conducive to ketosis, and still adequate amount of fats and proteins, yet they're eventually going to cut that off when they get to a point where their calories are too high, because presumably people are going to be more satiated on a ketogenic diet. So one side of this is that it reconciles the sort of calorie amount that people might be going over. Lots of people, when they're on a keto diet, they won't count calories at first. And you can lose weight this way. You can lose body fat this way simply by the qualitative hormonal side of the fat loss coin I was speaking about. Because a drop in insulin, even if you're eating the same amount of calories, if it's significant enough for you, you are going to lose body fat because your body is shocked by how much less insulin there is on a regular basis. But eventually, you will plateau. And a lot of times, people will be snacking on handfuls of nuts or a bag of almonds every day. And yeah, they're still going to have lower insulin, but eventually they're going to put that quantitative total energy out of whack. And basically, your body, at one point, if you jack the calories up on if you have 10,000 calories on a ketogenic diet, you're not going to lose body fat because you're not, even though you're lowering your insulin, you're not putting extra demand on your body to use its own fuel. So that's going to lead into the next topic here. But for starters, egg fasts are a way to incrementally contain your calories and have it in a manner where you're getting foods that are appropriate and with balanced fat and protein. So realistically, you could achieve the same effects as an egg fast by having your calories in check and having the same macro ratios similarly. However, for people trying to get extra adaptation, more fat is necessary. So for a lot of people who are using this to break into ketosis, adding higher fat into your starting macros is a great way to get adapted because you need to train your body to use fat as the primary fuel. And high-fat keto approaches are mainly useful for people who are trying to get adapted. Extra weight loss approaches are not going to be high-fat. Remember this, write that down. Advanced cutting on keto is not high-fat, okay? And if you watch my other videos, you'll see that the advanced cutting strategies on keto are mostly raising the protein at the expense of the fat. Keto does not mean high fat. It simply means the absence of sugar and carbohydrates. As a byproduct of that, your fats can be elevated. And for people who are new, they need to elevate them. So an egg fast is great for that. But at the same time, it also is a tool that people use to get that quantitative side in check, where they're basically eating food only when they're hungry of the same exact macros and actually a balanced higher amount of protein, where extra fat loss is still possible, but they're just not really getting extra meticulous about it. Because here's the thing, when you are advanced cutting on keto and you're very aggressive, you want to raise the protein at the expense of fat because you want to put more demand on your body to burn its own fat. So eggs are a great food for this because they're about 6 grams of protein and about 5 grams of fat per egg. So realistically, you're getting about an equal ratio, a little bit more on the end of protein. So realistically, you're probably going to feel a little bit more satiated from the extra protein. Now, people will tell you the high fat is going to satiate you. High fat is going to satiate you, don't get me wrong. But if you truly want to satiate your body, even in an aggressive cutting state, you need higher protein because protein is basically what your body treats as resources. Your body treats fat and carbs as energy, and protein is primary. That's literally what it means in Greek. So your body is going to make you less hungry basically if you get adequate protein. And if you don't, and if you're doing some sort of egg fast with just a shitload of fat, granted, if your calories are in check, you'll lose weight. But if they're not, or if they're close to where you normally eat, your maintenance calories, you probably will not see advanced results from an egg fast. Because again, if you're using eggs and then a bunch of mayo, a bunch of butter, a bunch of cheese, right, and then putting your MCT oil in the morning, that's basically just a high-fat keto diet. And that's putting you in the problem in the first place that you're trying to use the egg fast to get out of. So that's kind of an example where the quantitative side of the coin really reveals the extra weight loss strategies here. So you don't necessarily want to just jack up the fat. The protein is what your body's going to determine whether or not it needs to eat more food from. Now, the rules are slightly different for this if you're looking into fat fasting, which is a completely different topic, and you should watch my videos on that. But as far as egg fasting goes, it's a way to make keto macros accessible, easy for people, and to make incremental calorie amounts, manageable for people. For people trying to get adapted, it's a good strategy to start off because, again, you'll be having plenty of those fats. You'll be having food that's balanced and providing all the essential nutrients you need to make keto adaptation easier. People need a lot of B vitamins when they're starting keto. Plenty of them are in eggs. People need a lot of protein sources. They need essential amino acids. Those are all in eggs. That is why people are using these strategies, and that is why essentially, you don't necessarily have to use them if you are getting adequate amino acids, adequate proteins. If you're eating a well-formulated ketogenic diet, you will be fine, okay? Which is why you can go to my other videos and learn how to do that, or you can go to my website and look at my programs and future free guides and whatnot that I'm putting out that explain how to get started on keto, how to get advanced cutting results, things of that nature on my website. So that is it for this video. Egg fasts, they can be useful, but you have to understand why they're useful. It's because they make things easy, and realistically, you can have far more freedom and achieve similar results. And if you're using an egg fast irresponsibly, you're probably not going to get those results anyways. So if you like this video, like it. That will make YouTube show my videos to more people, and that's all you have to do to help me grow my page. Besides that, leave me some questions and comments down below. I'll do my best to get back to you. I'm Anthony Romano. Peace.